Game of the Year, an award that means absolutely nothing that gamers around the world obsess over. An award ceremony where gamers feel like if their favorite game doesn't win, then it's the end of the world and gaming is shit. The Game Awards is just entertainment, that's it. The wins don't matter. It's a time to just sit back and engage in some gaming conversation, recapping the year. And this year, there's a lot to recap. A lot of heavy releases came out, and in terms of Game of the Year nominee caliber games, there's quite a few. There's some games that are for sure getting nominations, there's some ones that are really strong candidates, and then there's some wild cards that can shake things up a little bit. And so I'm gonna rank them tier list style. I've got 28 games from this year. Some of them are fan favorites, some critically praised, some of the more polarizing picks, and then some that I just personally want to chat about. And we're gonna talk about the odds that each of these games catches a Game of the Year nomination. The tiers are simple. We've got locks. These are the ones that there is absolutely 0% chance that they don't get nominated. There's no scenario in the world where they don't get in there. And then there's strong case. These are the guys who they may or may not get nominated, but the year that they had makes it so that if they do, you kind of go, yeah, that makes sense. And then there's wild card. These are the ones that could shake shit up a little bit. The ones that when the nominees are announced and they happen to be on there, gamers get to raging on the internet. Oh, how the fuck did this make it? The guys who, although they might not have the traction of other games, they did some things. Next, we've got No But Let's Talk. These are the games where basically I know that they're not going to get nominated, but I think they did some things worthy of recognizing. Basically, these are my underrated guys for the year. And then there's No Chance. These are the games that no matter how much you love them, how great you think they are, they don't have a chance at a nomination. This is going to be a long one, so sit back, make some food, and enjoy. Our first game, Abiotic Factor, and off top, I'm starting with Wild Card. The people who played this game loved the shit out of it. I'm not a big survival guy myself, but I've recognized how well this game does that genre. I almost wanted to put Abiotic into No Chance, not because I don't think it's worthy, but I think this year is going to have so much representation of smaller games that this one kind of feels like the odd man out. But there is a parallel universe where I see this randomly sliding in there out of nowhere and people flipping their fucking lid. As a betting man though, I'd put money that it's probably not going to happen. Next is Assassin's Creed Shadows, one of the more polarizing releases this year. Oh, a black guy in Japan, you're playing a video game. Let's get our life together, you know what I mean? Listen, this is going in No Chance. I think the Assassin's Creed formula has kind of just dried up, especially from a quality standpoint. They can keep making them and they'll keep selling and the fans will still enjoy them to an extent, but I don't really see a world where they suddenly get better than what they were in the past. It's kind of just like the COD of single player games. You know what you're getting and it's never going to be extraordinary. Avowed, I'm putting in No But Let's Talk because this is a game that, yeah, it's not getting nominated and yeah, I don't think it should be in the conversation, but I also think most people were wrong about this game. This game ended up with the Skyrim clone label, which I just never understood whatsoever because playing through the entire game, I never at any point felt like I was playing something that was trying to be Skyrim. I was rocking a dual pistol speed build for basically my entire playthrough, just flying around clapping shit, and that is not a Skyrim experience whatsoever. And I had a really good time with this game. I thought some of the decision-making stuff was really impressive. There was some really gorgeous looking areas. There was some average stuff about it too, but if you let the internet tell it, this game was one of the worst games ever made, and it just wasn't that to me in the slightest. Still no shot that it gets nominated though. Blueprints was kind of a tricky one. I think I'm gonna go into wild card with this. I think strictly off reception, this game should be for sure in strong case, but I think there's just a couple of things that hold it back for me, mainly impact. It just wasn't as big of a moment as what its reception was. There's tons of people out there who would say, Blueprints, what the fuck is that? I never heard of it. I think it's one of those if you know, you know kind of deals where this thing absolutely could catch a nomination the same way that something like Balatro did, which was a smaller game. And the folks who know what's up would go, honestly valid, game's crazy. While there's also people who would lose their mind saying that gaming is dead. I think it's just a victim of not a big enough moment and too much indie representation this year that keeps it from being in strong case for me, but it's still definitely got a shot. Then we move on to Borderlands 4. I'm gonna put this in No But Let's Talk. I love this game. This is a very good Borderlands game. I've seen a lot of people say that this is the best Borderlands game. I still think that belongs to 2 and will always be 2 because that game was kind of just lightning in a bottle, but Borderlands 4 probably does do a lot of things better on a technical level. Critics just don't respect Borderlands games like I do though. They gave this game the same score as Borderlands 3. I don't see a world where that's the case. Even Borderlands 2 is at an 89, which is a great score, but I mean, this is a game that to me, top 20 all time, like it's a clear 10 out of 10, but Fuck it, Borderlands isn't getting a nomination. That's alright, critics suck anyways. We move on to Death Stranding 2, and this is where we get our first strong case. I want to say lock, almost, but in the multiverse of madness, there is a timeline where somehow, some way, this game doesn't get it. The reason I'm so confident that it is going to be there isn't because of the gameplay, it's not the story, it's not the critical reception. It's Kojima. They fucking love this guy, man, and maybe rightfully so. I don't know who's to say, but Kojima could remaster SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom and they would throw him a Nobel Peace Prize for transforming art. I'd be shocked if this game was not there, but still, it's not a lock, just strong case. Next is Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I'm going into strong case again. In a year where Nintendo is dropping 3 titles for their flagship IPs, surely one of them is going to get a nod. I haven't played any of them. I wouldn't be caught dead with a Nintendo console, but one of these fellas is getting in there, and Donkey Kong seems to be the one that the critics fucked with the most. Doom the Dark Ages, another no, but let's talk. I don't know what other people played, but the game that I played was fucking great. It's an 83 on Metacritic, which is a good score, but it's not Game of the Year nomination good. Now, if I may be bold and courageous and brave for a second, I like this game better than Doom Eternal. There's some people that might get upset at that, but I don't give a shit. What are they gonna do? You know what I mean? I had more fun with Doom the Dark Ages than I did with Eternal, and I had a lot of fun with Eternal. I kind of just think everyone was wrong here. Like, it's a very good Doom game, but nonetheless, it ain't catching a nomination. Dynasty Warriors Origins. Let's spin the block once more on No But Let's Talk, because I don't know what happened here. This is definitively the best made Dynasty Warriors game ever. They did it. After a decade plus of shit in the sheets, they pulled one out to say, we still got the sauce. This game's got an insanely strong case for best action game of the year. I think the combat system and fights in this game were more impressive than any other game. I just don't know how this game didn't receive more traction and respect, but story of my life, all my favorites get average Metacritic scores, so no chance at a nomination for the boys. Elden Ring Night Rain, this one is gonna hurt for all you FromSoft fellas out there, but there is no chance in hell. Like, I'm gonna keep it funky. I think Ball Pit has a better shot at Game of the Year nod than Night Rain does. It just didn't hit with audiences like a FromSoft release normally does. And they obviously went out and tried something new. They tried to experiment a little bit, which I commend. I never want to see a studio just copy paste the same formula over and over again. But I think it just missed the mark for a lot of people. Some people loved it, and shout out to y'all. It ain't getting a vote though. Expedition 33, our first lock. Now, I've got some strong opinions on Expedition. I love the game. It's one of my favorites of the year, but I also hate cult-like fan bases who make something into something that it's not. This is the best game of all time. This game changed turn-based combat forever. It's a masterpiece. Well, let's slow down a little bit, you know what I mean? I think no matter what your thoughts are on the game, whether you enjoyed it or not, you cannot deny how important this game is, not just to the year, but to gaming in general. The underdog story of it all, what it represents as a potential transition piece into the future. There's a lot to talk about there from the gaming culture side of things, and a lot of that ties back into why so many people hold the game in such high regard. There is a 0% chance this game does not get nominated, and it's the clear winner as of right now. But there's also another game that's kind of right on its ass for me, and that is Hades 2. I'm gonna put Hades 2 as a lock, but I had to kind of think about it, which doesn't make a lot of sense because Hades 2 is the highest rated game of the year. How could it be anything but a lock? The reason why is because I don't know if the impact was felt that heavily by this game for me to say that it's undeniably 100% getting in there. There's a lot of games this year that have had some really big moments that were much more felt than Hades 2. But ultimately I went with lock, and the reason why this game's a lock outside of critical praise is because I'm playing it right now. And I'm not going to spoil too much here because at the end of the year I plan on ranking every game that I've played this year, but getting my hands on this, getting to partake in that experience, yes. This game is getting nominated, man. The critics adored it, and that's the biggest factor of it all. Hades 2 is a lock. Next is Ghost of Yotei, and I'm going strong case here. It scored really well with critics. It was one of the big moments of the year, long-awaited sequel to a beloved game. And I think this is another one where the story behind the game gives it a lot of weight. There were all types of heated conversations about this game going back to its initial reveal. People were mad about the character, mad at the voice actors, some of the developers. This game was sent through the ringer on day one, and I think the fact that it came out, it was still that big moment, and people still love the game, kind of gives it just a little boost, you know? Then there's Silk Song, and this is another one where the moment was too monumental to say anything other than lock. It's not for me, to be honest. I love Metroidvanias, and for some reason, Hollow Knight just never clicked with me the same way it did what seems like everyone else on the planet. But again, regardless of how you feel, because these nominations do not give a shit about your feelings, the anticipation was massive, the moment was massive, and the game met a lot of people's expectations. It performed well, the critics and players loved it, one of the highest rated games of the year, undeniable lock. And spoiler, those are the only 3 locks this year. There's one that we'll talk about later that I think should be a lock, but we'll get to it. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, if you ask a certain group of folks on the internet, this is a lock. It's the clear game of the year. This is the best RPG ever made. I'm putting it in strong case. Unfortunately, people are going to turn this one into this year's version of Spider-Man 2 or Wukong, where when it doesn't win, and spoilers, it's not going to win, the internet's going to flip their lid and say gaming's dead, award show sucks, yada yada. This game is not a lock. There is a world that this doesn't make it in, and if I'm keeping it funky, I don't think it's going to get nominated. I'll give you my 6 nominees at the end, but it absolutely can. At the beginning of the year, I said it had no chance, but there's some things that changed throughout the year that changed my mind on that. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has a strong shot at a nomination. Just to its fans, don't be weird when it doesn't win, because it's not going to, all right? Mario Kart World Wild Card. I think this game ended up being the little bro of the 2 Nintendo releases so far. It was the big flagship console release game. I think they thought it was going to be a massive smash, but somehow just got dicked down by Donkey Kong. The reason I say Wild Card instead of no chance is because one of these motherfuckers is getting nominated. I will stamp that. Donkey Kong or Mario will be on that ballot. I just think Donkey Kong is way more likely. But in the insane world where it doesn't, Mario Kart is somehow going to slide in there. Metal Gear Solid Delta. This one hurts me, but there is no chance. I haven't gotten to play it yet. It might be a wait for sale type beat at this point, but I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid guy, specifically the OGs. The first 3 are some of my favorite games of all time, and at the beginning of the year, I really thought this was going to be the big remake of the year with all the critical praise. But for some reason, it just didn't work out like that. I don't know why. Like I said, I haven't checked it out yet, but yeah, it just didn't grab the traction that it needed. Shame. Monster Hunter Wilds. This is where I get a little disrespectful. I almost want to say wild card. It was received really well by the critics. It was an enormous moment, maybe the biggest of the year, honestly, but I'm gonna piss some of you folks off and say no chance, and here's why. I think the hype around this game died down really fast and really hard. It went from breaking records and getting all types of praise to not just going quiet, but instead turning into people hating the game. After less than a month, it felt like everyone, anytime they brought this game up, was shitting on it, whether it was poor optimization or people just getting into their comparison bag and saying Worlds is way better than this. I think this is a tricky one because the numbers and initial reception would tell you that this should at least be a wild card. Some would even argue strong case, but I don't see a chance in hell that voters can't come up with 6 games over this. Ninja Gaiden 4, long-awaited sequel, banger game, no chance. The critic score's not high enough, moment wasn't big enough, story wasn't gay enough. I don't want to dwell here too much because I respect Ninja Gaiden that much, but yeah, there's no chance. Oblivion Remastered, slide on right next to your boys and no chance. This one's tough because the moment was enormous. An Oblivion Remaster shadow dropping on our head tops, I remember the moment vividly. Going over to download it immediately, the world looked beautiful, the nostalgia was oozing through, but this thing is based on what the voters think. And the voters are the journalists. And the journalists just didn't click with the game like that. So no matter how big that moment was or how crazy it felt to hear that news, it's not making the cut, my boys. Outer Worlds 2, I'm playing this game right now. We're going in no, but let's talk. With just 10 or so hours in, I'm saying that this game is already underrated. I genuinely don't know what else Obsidian has to do for people to say that they make an amazing game. Their niche is RPGs. That's always been their thing. When I see Fallout New Vegas has an 84 on Metacritic, when Coder 2 has an 86, now Outer Worlds is at an 83, I start questioning, are other people just not experiencing what I'm experiencing with Obsidian games? Because if true decision-making, choice-driven RPGs are what you're looking for, BioWare is probably the goats of that, and then right behind them, I got Obsidian. And keeping it a buck with you, Obsidian is doing it way better than BioWare in recent times. Critics just don't appreciate Obsidian games as much as I do. They never have at any point in history, and I guess it just is what it is. Outer Worlds 2 is incredible though, big recommend. Silent Hill F, I'm gonna go into Wild Card. This is another one that I didn't didn't play, so I can't speak on it from personal experience, but it seems like the critics fucked with this one very heavy. No negative reviews, barely even mixed reviews. I think there was 2 when I recorded this. It's got way more praise than I actually thought it did before I looked into it, which is cool because I like that they took a chance and went different with this IP. I guess it paid off because people think that it's a good game. I don't think it's going to get a nomination, and it's really teetering on no chance, but I think there's way too much positive reception there for me to just ignore it. South of Midnight is going in no, but let's talk, and I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Do I think this game is perfect? No, not at all. Are there things about it that I straight up dislike? For sure. But this game does some things at an elite level. This game should be nominated for music, for art direction, for performance, and narrative, and it should probably win for a few of those. This game didn't have enough people singing its praises for the things that people should have been singing its praises for. But as far as a Game of the Year nomination goes, there's no chance in hell. Split Fiction, this is going in strong case. For damn near the entire year, I had this game as a lock. And I still think it's gonna get nominated for sure. I think it's the strongest game of all the strong case games. But the reason I can't call it a lock is because I don't think time has been on its side. This game came out very early in the year and no one is really talking about it anymore, and I'm not really too sure why. This is for sure one of the best games to come out this year, and it's Hazelight continuing to do the elite co-op games thing. But it feels like the traction has kind of just been lost, so for me, it does slip down just a bit, just the tiniest bit, but it's enough for me to drop it out of lock and have to duke it out for one of those spots. I do think it's gonna get in there though. Sword of the Sea is going into wild card. The reason why is the same reason for Blueprints. There's just too much indie stuff this year. I think even though this game is a piece of art and it's up there for one of the best of the year, I just can't see a world where we get damn near 5 indie titles at the Game of the Year awards. Not in the same year that Kojima dropped and Nintendo dropped and Sony dropped. It caught a bad bracket, that's all. But I think it's that good that it still could upset some folks out of nowhere. I kind of doubt it, but it would be cool as hell. Talos Principle Reawaken, it's going in no chance. And I really only put it on here to talk about Talos Principle. This game is so unbelievably good, man. If you never played it and you like puzzle games and you really like mature and philosophical stories, play this game. It's great. I also think to this day, this game's got the hardest puzzle ever put into a game. Good luck. No chance though, big dog, sorry. The Altars is going in no, but let's talk, because to me, this is one of the best games of the year, and if I was the sole person nominating games, this would for sure be on there. And I can't really get into too much of why without spoiling some things, but this is genuinely one of the most unique games I have ever played. It plays with some familiar concepts, you know, survival, resource management, base building, all that shit, but it incorporates things that felt like nothing else I've ever experienced. This game flew too far under the radar this year. Go play The Altars. I think it's on Game Pass. If it's not, just fucking buy it and be a man, but it's not getting nominated, sadly. And lastly, we got First Berserker Kazan. No chance. Remember what I was talking about with Kingdom Come? This is that too. The people that like this game really were swearing up and down that this is Game of the Year, it deserves nomination. Buddy, there is no chance on God's green earth this game is getting nominated. I want you to do this. Come back to this video after the announcement. This is me talking to future you. Psst. Hey, I fucking told you, you dumb idiot. I understand. Souls-like supremacy, cool. This ain't the year for that, my boy. But that is my list. Now for my nominations. Very easy for me. Obviously, Expedition 33, Hades 2, Silksong. Boom. The last 3 slots, Split Fiction, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Death Stranding. I feel extremely confident about those 6. I feel like those 6 make the most sense from what we know about the Game Awards, how they vote, and what's happened historically. But maybe I'm dead wrong. That's the beauty of it all. Post your nominees in the comments and I'll tell you why they suck. Give me a kiss.